Hey everybody, it's Jonathan Rose and welcome to Masters in Trading Live. At Masters in Trading Live, I get on here each day the market's open, go over the market, share some thoughts. Once in a while, we'll share our trade of the day. So I've done nothing but trade my entire career. Okay, I started in the business on the floor of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, trading NASDAQ futures. When I traded NASDAQ futures as a little young pup, we would look at NASDAQ futures relative to S&P futures. Maybe NASDAQ was expensive, maybe NASDAQ was cheap, but we'd always look at it relative to S&P futures, or we'd look at it relative to the basket of NASDAQ stocks. The point that I want to make is throughout my 27-year career, I've only traded what's called divergences. The NASDAQ has never been cheap and I want to get long. It's always cheap relative to something else. You could use the example of a company taking market share. Netflix taking market share from Blockbuster. Netflix strong, Blockbuster weak. Throughout my entire career, every single trade that I've ever made or ever considered has always been some kind of divergence. Something is cheap to something else. So what I wanted to do this week, we have a holiday shortened week, July 4th shortened week. So this week, guys, I'm going to take 3 days and we're going to start tomorrow. And we're going to do 3 days of divergence classes. So starting tomorrow, we'll talk about what a divergence is. I'm going to get into it. I have it all on the screen. So let me share that with you. But I have a really, really cool week for you guys. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are as well. Divergence week. From foundation, so tomorrow we're going to do our foundational class, to fireworks, July 4th fireworks. Here's the schedule, guys. Tuesday, we're going to start Tuesday. Why every trade I've made has been a divergence trade. So I'm going to walk you through how I started on the floor, and then we're going to go through different divergence trades, what it is. Divergence trade, it's just like pair trading. Some of you guys may have heard of delta neutral trading. This is not pure delta neutral trading, but it's definitely getting long one and getting short another. What I want to do on day 2, I'm going to take you through my 5 favorite divergence trades. I'm going to break down my 5 high conviction divergence setups, what they are, how you spot them, and then why they work. Thursday, really excited for this. Thursday, one last trade before fireworks. We're going to deliver an actionable trade for everybody on Thursday. So I've been planning this for a little bit. Tuesday, we're going to do an introduction to divergences, why you should be looking at divergences, why all pros look at divergences, and we never just trade anything by itself. Day 2, which is going to be Wednesday, I'm going to go through and share my 5 favorite divergences, what we're looking at and what you should be looking at. And then this Thursday, guys, I'm going to share my favorite divergence trade right now. I don't know what that is. I am looking at a couple of divergences, but we're going to wait and see how the market shakes out this week before I share that trade with you guys on Thursday. So those are the 3 days we got: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll have a nice little break. Super excited about this. And again, something I'm very, very passionate about because I've been trading divergences my entire career. Okay, last week we put this out, market's going up. We did a whole study on why we think the market's going up, and right now the market is going up. Why did we do that? We did that because we were looking at what's called the vital tool. Let me show you what this means. Get my pen working here. Richard, we'll talk about managing those trades as well. And just like, by the way, we're going to do these classes and I'm going to have the questions up. So any questions that you guys ask, I'm going to be more than happy to answer. Oftentimes, if I'm not explaining something, it's just because I don't have a question and I don't realize that that's what you're asking. Let me explain this tool though. The VIX. The VIX, also called the fear index. The VIX is a measure of volatility. What many people don't realize is the VIX, the volatility index, is a 30-day measure of volatility. What's going to happen over the next 30 days? The vital tool that we use in our short-term options doesn't just look at 30 days of volatility. We also look at 1 day, 9 day, 23 days, 37 days, 90 days, and 180 days. When we see a shape like this, it's very, very, very healthy because volatility is lower for a shorter amount of time, and volatility, or we could also say uncertainty, goes up over a longer period of time. There should be more risk given more time. So when we see it's called a VIX term structure curve shape like this, it's very, very healthy. And that's why we came out with this video that, guys, market's going up. Why is the market going up? Because VIX term structure has a very, very pretty healthy shape. I want to pull up. Give me a second here. Does that make sense, guys? Does anybody have any questions actually about this VIX term structure? It's something that we follow closely throughout the trading day. Just pull up this here, and I want to show you what the VIXs look like, the VIXi. There we go. VIX 9D, right here, 1469. It's up a little bit. It was 1281. It looks like the VIX is up a little bit, but not too much. So right now, market is really, really, really healthy. Now, as far as the VIX is up a little bit, they're up a little bit because this week we have non-farm payroll. Non-farm payroll is the unemployment report that comes out the first Friday of every month. This week, it'll come out on Thursday because of the July 4th weekend. Overall, looking at the Qs outright, Qs taking out their all-time high, really nice and strong, nice and healthy. The longer that we stay above the all-time high, certainly the more bullish that is going to be. So QQQs are really strong right now. Let's go look at some of the other indices. SPY taking out its high as well. IWM still has some time to go. Here's the number to look at for IWM, guys. IWM is the Russell 2000. So the Russell 2000 right now is 216.15. The big line is going to be that 200 period moving average at 215.72. That also is the low for today. So right now, IWM sitting on its 200 period moving average has yet to take out its all-time high like the QQQs have done and like the SPY have done. But market is strong, guys. Market is definitely strong. Here's a name we like. Last week, I was talking about some massive, massive, unusual option activity in ARM Holdings. When we see unusual option activity or advance notice, that's very, very, very bullish. Well, that happened last week. Right now, ARM has come close to its expected move. The expected move is where option traders think that a stock is going to trade during that expiration. So we showed you some big unusual option activity down by 150. Well, now it traded up to 168 and failed because it failed right by its expected move. So ARM bullish, but will pull back from its expected move. Greg's got a question. Let me read Greg's question. Greatly appreciate the tip on Quixo. Oh, I love Quixo. Let's go check out Quixo. Quixo is a name that we've been talking about. What do you think? About a month and a half now. We are still long QXO in our premium products. Let me show you what QXO looks like. QXO is absolutely one of my favorite stocks of 2025. So here you go. Greg makes about $3,000 on 600 shares. Exited on 623. How do you know it was time to exit? Are you monitoring for a re-enter? So Greg, how do I know that it was time to exit? I don't know. I don't know. Let me explain though. As I'm going through this, let me get a show of hands, guys. Who's involved in QXO? Let me get a Y in the chat box. Just so when people watch this back, they can see that we're not just talking nonsense here. We are actually in QXO trading, looking for opportunity. Let me explain why we got out of this and when to get back in. You guys are awesome. I love that. QXO, the yeses, the yeses, the yeses. You love to celebrate with the Glockenspiel. I got to learn how to play the Glockenspiel. I think that would be pretty special if I could play live whenever we have good trades. I don't even know if it's a string instrument or a piano. It might be a kazoo for all I know. Okay. Let's talk about QXO. Now we talk about building our memory bank. And when I say building our memory bank, it just means that the same shit happens over and over and over in the market. The first trade that we did in QXO was down here. QXO rallied to 19, but what happened at 19? Anybody know? What happened at 19? QXO rallied up to 19 and then sold off. You know what they did? James, Home Depot got the company bid for $5 million. Laura, correct. They issued shares. They issued shares because they are an acquisition company. So whenever this thing rallies, they are going to issue shares to raise money. They issued shares, stock pulled back, then we rallied again. Does anybody know what happened? Actually, this was the bid for Home Depot. This was the issuing more shares. So all we did, guys, we get long, they issue shares, we cover, wait for the pullback. You can get back in if you want to. We are extremely bullish QXO. One of the names that we expected to be a buyout candidate was exactly that. Not only bullish QXO, GMS. GMS just got, they were between Home Depot and QXO to get bought. I originally put out a document saying we're bullish QXO and then to watch GMS because it is one of the names that's on the list to be acquired, and it was absolutely acquired. So QXO, we are staying long and staying strong. I absolutely love this company, but every time it rallies, they are going to issue shares because they want to raise money. Yeah, James, $5 billion for games. I actually think it's trading above that right now, but nevertheless. So yes, bullish, bullish, bullish. And then I always like to share this because for those in our community, if I put on Quixo right here, 155 results. And in the community, you can see the conversation about QXO. More than 155 results talking about QXO just in the last 30 days or so. TMC and QXO were perfect trades. And then again, QXO offering to raise $2 billion, talking about the games. Be in a community, talk about the trades. That is how we learn. Really, really cool trade. Okay, guys, for everybody in our advanced notice community, we shared a trade earlier in the morning. I'm going to go over that trade right now during All Access. Also, guys, don't forget for the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going over 3 days of Divergence class. The first class will be Why divergence?